Hey folks, Steve here with a special unboxing video for you today. This is Norman Conquests, Conflicts of the Normans and their Successors, 1053 to 1265. Now, this is in the Men of Iron series, which originated with Richard Burke. This game is designed by Ralph Shelton, who performed developer duties on the series, at least, if not since the beginning, for several of the entries. So Ralph is very close to this game system, and so is carrying the torch forward with now the fifth volume of Men of Iron. Now, if you were interested in the series, you could get the tri-pack, which contains the first three games in the series. There's also a volume 4, which is Arquebus, which I have played, I have enjoyed. I'll be playing again at a coming game convention next month. And so I'm familiar to a degree with the Men of Iron series a bit. I have played it, I do like it. You could look at it as a bit of a simpler Great Battles of History system. It hits some of the same notes as Great Battles of History, but not quite as meticulous of a way as GBOH will tend to do it. And maybe more similar to the simple Great Battles of History rules in terms of implementation. But I've genuinely had a good time with Arquebus, which I have the most experience in, which is kind of odd because that's the one that adds guns, where the rest of these are firmly in the medieval time frame of men with swords being the sort of main combatant, or pikes, or lances, and all that good stuff, right? So as we take the shrink off here, this is one interesting bit that, volumes 1 through 4 of the series, um, kind of, you could work your way through chronologically in time from, sort of the early phases to later phases and ending up with Arquebus. This turns back the clock a little bit again, more to the original time frame or era of the first Men of Iron and the Infidel volume, which I think is volume 2 or 3. So this is much more. I mean, the picture on the front cover here speaks for itself, but definitely turning back the clock a little bit from Arquebus for all of this. Now you can see the description here. If you want to read all that, I will let you do so. But what's nice about this one is that there's actually 7 battles included, which feels robust. By comparison, I had just done an unboxing video for a new game series, and that first game in the series just came with 2 battles. This is much more robust in terms of volume, so you can see the battles listed here. 7 battles is very, very generous here. So they start in Italy in 1053, but also covers Norman conflicts in northern England, southern England, Normandy, France, and more England. So lots of variety. And it is the Normans, and the Normans, did have holdings in different parts of Europe, that's for sure. So as we see the components or the contents, we'll see 3 distinct game maps. I suspect that some of these battles will be smaller and we'll have 2 battles on a single map. It is 2 back printed. One of them will not be back printed. There's going to be 2.5, or what's that, 2.25 sheets. That's going to be interesting. I'm not sure what that'll look like. 3 player aids, rules manual, battle book, 2 10-sided dice, and you can see all that goodness there. And if you've not seen the counters, I mean, they're straightforward. Excuse me. That you'll be able to see what type of unit is on there. There are modifiers for their close combat capability, movement, weapon type, things that should be somewhat familiar to folks playing these sorts of games. The scale is approximately 250 men per unit and 100 yards per hex. And high solitaire suitability, I suspect ultimately because there's not that much hidden information. And we will take off the lid and see what we have. So that's interesting. It's interesting that says Men of Iron tri-pack. I wonder if when they went to do the PDF creation, before printing that it was like they swapped the top part and they forgot to take tri-pack out. I don't know. So maybe a slight goof there, but that's immaterial. So Norman Conquest Rules Manual. Um, Ultimately, this should be the same basic rules as the rest of the Men of Iron series. It will be worth looking at. Is there a tremendous difference between this and the other games in the series? I suspect not. Um, so let's see. We're gonna take a look quickly at the rulebook here. I just want to show. Yeah, rules that apply only to specific games. Okay, so this is a series rulebook. So anything here obviously seems to be taking more after the original Men of Iron, given they're given the same gray box, differentiated from Infidel or Blood and Roses. And what's interesting is I don't see a box for Arquebus, so I'm not sure if that's just simply maybe left behind a little bit there, and I don't know. But if you're just buying this as your first Men of Iron game, then I think either way you're going to be in just fine shape. So you have the breakout here, 2-column format, color, and non-glossy, straightforward paper. Maybe that's semi-glossy, considered semi-glossy, but good quality as we see and we break out. There's really nice. I've always liked this about GBOH and Men of Iron, that you have a nice description of what these units really are. So like what is a medium cavalry? Well, in this game's framing, this is what a medium cavalry is. I like that. That helps you understand what you have at your disposal. Discussing the victory, sequence of play. This is all straightforward stuff. If you're familiar with the series already, then none of this will be new to you. If you are new to the series, I think this is a just fine starting point. Things are very intuitive in this system, relatively straightforward. If you played Great Battles of History, you should be able to adapt very quickly. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time here just because I think this is a series that's already existed for some time, and you can catch up on all the variations of charging, counter-charging, shock, combat, all these things. Disorder matters in the system. You can have continued attack and keep pushing on. So everything, the artwork that's included is evocative of the time period that we're covering in the Norman Conquest game. You can see there's shield wall mechanics. You can see when they talk about the other games in the series, like Infidel, they talk about knights, the pike, javelineers, ambushing, and Blood and Roses. Does seem like for this rulebook, then they have concentrated on adapting. You can see they kind of left this on, which was from the original tri-pack. So I don't know. It kind of feels like when they created this rulebook, they basically just took the tri-pack rulebook and they went a once over it, but they seemed to miss references, or maybe this was intentional. I don't know. I'd have to look to see, does this include any errata that came out for the tri-pack? But again, it does not include any references to Arquebus, and there's some chart naming or section naming that appears to be unchanged from the tri-pack, which I don't know why I'm even pointing it out, because it's not a big deal, but it might feel a little odd as you're using the rulebook. Now we do have the battle book here that's going to cover all the battles here. It's not extremely long or extremely thick. It's coming in at 24 pages, so kind of running this through. It's going to be very similar, I suspect, to other games in the series. 2-column format, same quality of stuff that you're seeing here. So there's historical context for a given battle, the setup information on which hexes and which units will go where. There'll also tend to be a picture that kind of shows either exact locations or approximations where it doesn't really matter which individual unit gets placed there. And certainly looks like, yeah, some of these battles are going to be bigger than others. Stamford Bridge, which is a pretty important one if you're not familiar. So that's interesting. That's a good one to have in the system here. Hastings, that's another important one to have in the system. So overall, I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on this because to me it appears to be very much in the vein of other Men of Iron products. It should be quite enjoyable. And then we've got an example of play. It's not terribly long, it's just a page. But if you really had to get a little bit of a primer, it's not bad to have one. So that's goodness there. So now we get into the player aid charts. These are actually quite nice. They're like glossy foldouts. You can see where for each different battle that have different terrain types, the effect of that terrain. So you're going to have to really be careful, like what battle are you playing, what type of terrain are you looking at, what's going to matter there. And then you see more of the standard results tables and charts of things that you would expect. So there looks like there's 2 of these in there. Here's your flight track, flight point track. So as units are eliminated or routed off the map, you adjust this for determining victory. Straightforward. And oh, look at this cute little guy. Cute little counter sheet. Here's your quarter counter sheet. The counters are decent sized, brown core. Registration all looks excellent, as usual from GMT. And you can see the variations of units here. There's like a decent amount of extra space on the counter sheet, which just makes it easy to break these guys out of here. They're in rows of, there's groupings of 8 on the counter sheet, so it should be very easy to just pop these guys right out. I'm going to be gentle and not do that, but should be relatively easy to get these guys out of here. If I recall correctly, minuses on the units are better than pluses. I'm not sure if that's, maybe it's the other way around. Maybe I should not make conjecture here. Yes, so there you go. Are those the only counter sheets? I believe that may be all the counter sheets. 2 1/4. Now we have the maps, and I don't know that I want to break out and show every single map, because you're going to see some commonality here across these maps. But just to show one as an example here, we have 2 different battles on one map side of the standard maps. So we have Civitate here on the left, we have Fulford on the right. A lot of open, cleared terrain. There's some slight, like there's marsh over here. Some slight variation in the terrain, but nothing too crazy. So there's going to be a lot of fighting and open fields. If you're only going to play the one battle at a time, you can fold over the map. You may not need to set up the entire map folded out like that or unfolded like that if you're stressed for space. Though I don't suspect that that's going to be a major issue in general for folks. Again, you can see it's like there's just a couple of terrain types. Nothing too crazy. This is going to be very much in alignment with what you may be used to. And the hexes are pretty big, all things considered. So it's a nice, comfortable amount of space taken up by the hexes and the counters. We have a bunch of baggies, always good. 2 dice, they are different colored, red and white. And then the insert, which, depending on how I choose to store this game, if I do baggies, then I'll keep the insert. This game I could see doing a counter tray for, though, just given there's not that many counters in the game. And as I'm talking about that does put into context another game that I had unboxed and why there was only so many battles in it. Because they're just handled at a more deep level of abstraction or simulation. So yeah, there you go. This is the 5th game in the Men of Iron series. Again, I'm pretty happy with Men of Iron in general. It is different from Great Battles of History enough to be its own thing, but if you like Great Battles of History, you're probably going to like this as well. I do enjoy the series, so I am glad. In particular, probably Hastings and Stamford Bridge are the breakouts for me of like, oh yeah, I want to play those. But you get 7 battles, so all told together across all the games in the series, there's just a lot of battles you can enjoy. I'm pretty happy with this package based on what I've seen. I like the box art. It's evocative. There's nothing glaringly weird about it, so whichever piece of art they've chosen was well selected. Um, Looks like a good package. So I am familiar with this game system enough to say I genuinely and sincerely do like Men of Iron. It's an enjoyable game system. I've had fun with it. So I can give a light recommendation on this already to just say, hey, if you like Men of Iron, this is probably going to be worth your attention for more of that. If you're unfamiliar with Men of Iron, I even this would be a good try at the system if you've not played it before, and give it a roll. See how it goes. I think it's a pretty good pretty good system. One of the last ones that Richard Berg had provided to the gaming community before his passing. So, and kudos to Ralph for keeping the system alive. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was helpful to you and will help you decide whether or not this is for you. In the future, we'll probably see Men of Iron being played on the channel at some point. It may be a little while before we can do that. I will certainly show some Arquebus next month when I get back from the game convention and can do some report out of that. So if you want to see some pictures of Men of Iron in action, I will probably be able to share some of that or in video very, very soon. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Take care. Keep gaming. See you in the next one.